Hello, Captain. Okay, so I'm doing a valve adjustment on a ZE1 Honda Insight. It's ticking pretty bad when it's cold. And just wanted to kind of go through what needs to be removed in the process. The only thing you really need is a new valve cover gasket. Well, you don't even necessarily need that, but mine was smashed so flat from the previous owner over torquing the gasket that you should probably consider picking one up. They are not easy to find at parts stores. I found mine at a Motion Auto Supply, but either way, there's a lot of options out there, but most of them are online. You should pull the spark plugs because it'll make the engine easier to turn over by hand. You can, in theory, turn it with the pulley here, but I'd strongly recommend using a 19mm open-end wrench. If you got a ratchet wrench, that works too. I haven't tried to fit a socket down in there, but I'm sure it's possible. The other thing is you're going to have to wait for the engine to cool off. I mean, yeah, this one doesn't even list a warm specification, but in case your sticker is missing, there you have it. It's a 12-valve 3-cylinder, and it uses the traditional Honda 10mm open-end wrench, or box-end wrench, and flathead screwdriver type of adjustment. No shim and bucket here, or eccentrics or anything. You'll have to pull the PCV valve off, pull this other end of the PCV system off. I pulled the return line at the regulator. You might be able to weasel the valve cover out from underneath it, but it's probably easier to just leave that or pull that off. It's not under pressure, so you should be all right there. Just pulling it. You'll have to pull all 3 coils out to get decent access to anything. And again, pulling the spark plugs makes it easier to turn the engine over. See how these have a shoulder on them that's larger than a standard bolt? So, what is it? 6 out of the 8 valve cover bolts are standard zinc plated like that. And then the 2 that are phosphated or whatever, black oxide, those 2 go on the end of the engine, these 2 bolt holes, here and here. I should note that I didn't adjust mine to be particularly quiet. If they were, let's say, under 25, I left them alone. But it's much better than it was on a cold start. Because it used to sound like, like the valves were about to pop out through the valve cover. So I'd say it's an improvement. Also, now's a good time to check your serpentine belt. You may have to go to a dealership. I have not been able to find one at a parts store. They are very narrow. I almost forgot. You're going to need, let's see, 17 and a 19mm wrench, some kind of pliers. I use needle nose because I like these offset ones. A ratchet, 10mm socket, spark plug gap tool, feeler gauges, spark plug socket, 10mm socket, a flathead screwdriver, and a 10mm wrench. I'd recommend using one that's not a ratchet head, but if that's all you got, then that should work fine. And you'll probably want a couple cans of brake cleaner, depending on how bad the valve cover gasket's leaking, gloves, paper towels, and a beverage. I don't know, your choice. Stay safe.